y'all, welcome to my craft room. I'm going to show y'all color today as promised. And the reason that I'm doing that is because when you go to buy paints or colors of any kind, I want to show you how you can have very, very few colors and achieve what you want to achieve. So if you're going to buy paint, for example, you can get by with just getting a few. And as I told you, the apple barrel paint at Walmart right now is 50 cents, or it was at least before the pandemic started. I have heard from many people that Walmart has like no craft supplies, no paints, no fabrics, or anything. So I guess people are really crafting during this time. But anyway, I want to lay down this yellow, and I'm not going to be real neat about it. I'm just trying to get it down so that I can demonstrate what I'm talking about here. So let's pretend this is yellow paint, and then we're going to put red over here. No, let's put red over here. I'm going to put red here. I guess it doesn't really matter, but anyway, just because I wanted to put the red over here. Okay, and then I'm going to put the blue in this little box. And I know when you think about primary colors, you think about, red, yellow, blue, green, orange, things like that. Well, let me show you. With the yellow and the red, and this is your color wheel, okay? And colors across from your color wheel, well, let me get to that in a minute. So anyway, what we're going to do is we have these three colors, and I'm going to show you how you can make other colors with just the three colors that you have. So this is the yellow down again. And now it's next to the red, so I'm going to mix the red with it. And it does matter, like when you're doing colored pencils, what order you put it in. When you're mixing paint, it doesn't matter too much. So I probably should have put the red down on this first. But what you end up with when you mix yellow and red is you get an orange. So with yellow and red, you can make orange. And then if you mix yellow and blue, I probably should put the blue down first. And the reason I say to put the blue down first is it's a darker color. And so you're going to use the yellow to use to lighten that up. Alright, so now if I put the yellow on top of the blue, I get green. So yellow and blue make green. So you don't really need to buy green paint because you can mix your own. You got, mix your yellow and your blue and you get green. You mix your yellow and your red and you get orange. Alright, so now what if I mix the blue and the red? Okay, well, I think most of us know, probably not all, but most of us know that blue and red make purple. Or violet. I don't know what color you want to call it, but alright, so the blue and the red are going to make purple. So now you've made these colors with just three colors. So now let's go one step further with this, and let's mix this color and this color. Okay, so this is the blue and the red together. Okay, so now we have the same purple that we have here. Well, it's next to the red, so we're going to put down another layer of red. And what we end up with is a different shade of purple, a much darker purple. All right, so if we come over here and we put down the red, all right, and then we want to make orange again, so we know red and yellow make the orange, so we're going to put down another layer of the red, because we have, you know, red here and orange here. So we need another layer of the red to make the orange, so we end up with 2 layers of red, and then a layer of the orange, so which is one of the yellow, because we're mixing the red and the orange, and the red and the yellow made orange. So what we end up with is a much darker orange. And so as you can see, this wheel can just expand, because you can mix these 2 colors and get another color, and it just goes on and on. So I kind of wanted to show you how that works. Now, here's also what I want to show you. Any colors across from each other on the color wheel go together. Doesn't mean you can mix them, it means they match well. So let's say you're using purple, you know, in your journal. Yellow will match really, really well, because that is the complementary color to this. Also, we know that red's going to match and blue's going to match because they're next to each other. So this is your complementary, this is your secondary, and then you have what's near it. But these 2 right here and these 3 are going to go together. The same with the red. The red and the green go together, but you can't mix them because they're complementary. But the secondary colors, which is you know, the blue and the yellow, or these here, will all match. So if they're across from each other on the color wheel, don't mix them. If they're, you know, beside it, you can mix them. So what I'm trying to say is, don't mix your colors on, you know, across from each other when you're mixing paint, because what's going to happen, let's say we take and mix blue and green, green and red, sorry about that. So I'm going to just take the blue here and the yellow to make green. Okay, now if I mix red with that, what's going to happen is I just make mud. There, you know, it's not a pretty color at all. It just kind of gets muddy looking. So anything on the color wheel, you don't want to mix those colors. So the easy way to remember what goes together is red and green is for Christmas, purple and yellow is Easter, and orange and blue Denver Broncos. So that's a good way to remember the colors that go together. When you're using your colors, just be careful how you're mixing them. But as you can see, we can get a lot of colors with just 3 colors. So if I get red, blue, and yellow paint, I can make a whole host of colors, and depending on how much blue I add is going to be, you know, how much darker it is, or how much red I add to the yellow is how much more orange it's going to be. So when you're mixing paint, you want to start with your light color. Say we want an orange, but we don't want a dark orange. So we'll start with our yellow, and we'll put in a few drops of red and mix it together. And if it's not quite right, then we can add another drop or 2 of orange. You want to do it slowly so that you don't end up with, you know, these dark colors all the time. So these, well, that's named blue. These are the colors of paint that I would recommend that you get, you know, 3 of the first ones. Yellow, red, and blue, because those are your primary. And you can mix green and purple with these, so you don't really need that paint. I also recommend that you get a black, because with black, you can darken a color down. So let's say I have red, and that's just too bright a red for me. Well, I can take and just, and you would mix just a little drop or two of black in your red paint, and you get a darker red. So I recommend a black paint to darken things down, and of course I recommend a white paint so you can lighten things up. And so we want a lighter blue, so we just mix in, say, the white, and we get a much lighter blue. So, and of course with white paint, you always start with your lightest color, always, and add a few drops of your darker, mix it till you see what you have. And then, although you can make a muddy brown, I recommend that you get a brown. And the reason for that is you're going to mix probably a lot more brown than you will, most of your other colors, because brown is good for a lot of things, and we're going to use brown when we go to distress as well. So just kind of a medium brown color, and I'm out right now, or I would recommend a color choice to you, but just a medium brown, because you're going to end up mixing it with white to get a tan color. Or, I kind of want to go light with this, but it's kind of hard. Or you'll mix it with like a yellow to get kind of a cream or off-white color. And if that's still too dark, you can add a little bit of white in there and lighten that right up, and it still makes it a creamy color. So that's kind of the situation on colors. So I kind of wanted to show you how to figure out what matches. Red and green for Christmas, purple and yellow for Easter, red and blue for Denver Broncos. I didn't come up with that. Susan Rubin actually taught me how to remember colors that way. So I just kind of wanted to show you, not when you're mixing paint, don't mix across from the color wheel, or you're going to end up with mud. And if you mix blue and the orange, it's going to come out mud. If you mix the purple and yellow, it's going to come out muddy. So don't mix any colors across from each other on the color wheel. Play with your colors, see what they do, just a drop at a time, to see if you don't want to make a color wheel, or you don't have a color wheel and you can't remember which ones to mix and which one. Play with them a little bit, see what you can do. But you can keep adding various colors to get a darker color, or you can add, say, white or yellow to get a lighter color, or a creamier color. So there's a lot of things you can do. So to start with, I would recommend 6 paint colors: red, blue, yellow, of course, those are your primaries, then your black, white, and a brown. Later you might want to get a gray. I don't know. That's just going to kind of depend on where you go with your stuff. But you can actually make your gray, of course, out of the black and white, and so you can get a gray. And if need be, you can if you wanted like a different gray tone, you could always add in, it should be gray, okay, you could always add in just a little bit of yellow, and that changes your grayscale a little bit. And so there's a lot you can do with just 6 colors, and if you get them for 50 cents, that's $3 for paints that you're going to primarily use. So think about what you want to use paints for. We're going to use some paints to do magazine pages with, and I'm not sure what all colors I have left to paint some magazine pages with, just to cover up images that we don't like or words we don't like, things like that. So if you're going to get paints, these are the 6 I would recommend, is the blue, yellow, red, and then of course the black, white, and a brown. And just, a bright white is fine. Just a medium red, medium brown, just black, of course. Like a medium blue, or even a navy would be fine. And then this happens to be like a school bus yellow. If you were going to get more into painting, I would advise you to get 2 yellows. One that's like school bus yellow, and one that is lemon yellow. I'm sorry, this is lemon yellow, not school bus yellow. So I would recommend that you get those 2, because one of them is like a cool color, and one of them is like a dark color, a warm color. And the same with the blues. You can get more of a reddish blue, or you can get more of a green blue, and that's where you get your teals and such from. So if we were doing, and then the same with the red, you'd get a warm red and a cool red. So red like a stop sign, and then red like a barn, but those would be the only differences. But you're not gonna really, I don't think you're really gonna get into paint much, and if you do, I'm certainly not an expert on paint. I'm just sharing with you what I know about colors, because I am a colored pencil artist of sorts. I mean, I'm trying to be, and so I know that this works. I know that these things are great. I know that my color wheel is great. It took me a while to grasp the color wheel. I ended up making, I don't know, probably 10 of them. And I would use a different shade of yellow, a different shade of red, a different shade of blue. And I could not believe that every time I would mix a yellow and red, it would make an orange. And they are so similar most of the time. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty awesome. So I finally got the whole concept of the color wheel, and I've enjoyed it. And it's helped me a lot in my mixing my paints and my, doing my colored pencils. And you can even use like watercolors, and the same thing would apply. And this is just a 97-cent cheap crazy art thing from Walmart. Now, when you buy paints like this, it's kind of like we talked about with the food colors, the gel food colors. They're more of a vibrant color. Well, when you get a quality watercolor paint, they're going to be more vibrant. These are going to be more pastel looking. Even though they look dark in the little pans, they'll come out a little, you're just not going to get it. They don't have the pigment. They have more filler than they have pigments in the cheaper stuff. And that's how they end up selling, why they can sell them cheaper is because it's more filler than it is pigment. But I encourage you, if you have some of these, play with them. Practice, with your colors. See what color mixing does for you. The only color that's really not in here that I would, recommend would be a white, but just so you could lighten things down. But otherwise, you got your, your blue, your yellow, your red, and of course blacks. And they stuck a green and an orange in here, which wasn't necessary, because you can make your own green out of that, and you can make your own orange out of that. And if you notice, they are together on the color wheel. And the red and the blue would make the purple, and the yellow and blue would make the green. So they do have this laid out pretty cool. And like I said, the only thing really missing from this one is a white. So, if you want to play with those kind of paints, play with them. If you want to play with colored pencils to kind of see what happens, go for it. Whatever it takes to help you figure out colors and which colors look best on a page together. The ones across from each other look best together. That doesn't mean it's the only ones. It just means those go the best together, but you don't want to mix them. So I hope that helps to sort that out just a little bit for you. I'm not sure that, it does. I hope that it makes sense. If you have any questions, I'm going to have my contact information, down in the description section. So be sure to contact me, or you can, obviously post a comment down below. So I hope this helps. It kind of gets complicated in my head, or it did for a long time. It took me a while to finally grasp the whole concept, and I just had to keep playing with them myself to kind of make it come together for me. So I whatever it takes for you. I know my explanation is not the best. Like I said, I'm not, expert on color mixing or, paint mixing or anything like that. And I'm sure there's a million videos out there that, will show you better than I did how to do this. But I did want to touch on this because, even if the only thing you have is some colored pencils, a $1 set of cheap pencils, you can make colors on a page. You can do, a lot with them. There's times that you can take a piece of paper, and of course I wouldn't have one right here, but, and you can actually blend some of these colors together, say with a piece of paper or a paper towel, just, using the edge, and you can kind of get those blended in really good. And, that makes a pretty color. That's a pretty red. And if I wanted to, mix these two colors together better, I can, just rub them with a piece of paper, or a little tip of paper towel or napkin, and that will kind of blend those colors a little bit more. And then you're really going to see the difference with the orange. So, you know, there's a lot you can do. You can, you know, color on pages, and make your own backgrounds, and they're absolutely beautiful and stunning. So I encourage you, you know, whether it's watercolors, whether it's colored pencils, you know, something where you can add color when you want to add color. Um, it's a lot of fun to play with color. So anyway, I will see y'all tomorrow. I think tomorrow we're going to talk about fussy cutting with scissors, whether we're going to use big scissors, little scissors, you know, medium kind of scissors, which scissors are best for fussy cutting and why. So I'm hoping that you'll enjoy that as well. It's not going to be a long video. It's just going to be kind of a little, let me show you what I think in my opinion. And of course, anything that you know, you consider doing, try it for yourself. You know, don't take my word for it. You know, if you go to buy anything, and I can't stress this enough, let's say that you want a die cutting machine, and they are very expensive. So let's say you want a die cutting machine, and you say, well, you know, how much will I use it? And that's what you need to ask myself. What am I going to use it for? How much am I going to use it? Will I get my money out of it? Well, you know what? Talk to other crafters. You know, ask other YouTubers, how often do you use your die cutting machine? Do you like it? What are the pros? What are the cons? You know, have you gotten your money out of it? Will you ever get your money? Anything that you got to buy, ask people their opinion before you go buying it. Like punches. You know, I've got probably 50 punches. I don't know. I mean, I kind of inherited a whole bunch of, well, actually, I inherited almost all of them. And I rarely use any of them. I mean, I use a circle punch, the 1-inch circle punch. I do have a 2-inch circle punch that I use regularly. But other than that, so always ask people their opinions of spending your money. You know, so if you're trying to do this on a tiny budget, consider your purchases well. Ask questions, get people's input. You know, why do you like it? Why don't you like it? You know, is it a good investment? Is it not? Just ask a lot of questions, because a lot of times you're going to find that you really won't get your money out of different things. And it's really kind of a waste of money, and you save up for a year to buy something, and then you don't like it or you don't use it, and that's really discouraging, because you just like spent what you could have spent, you know, a lot less on something else that you would have liked to have. I will see y'all tomorrow. Have a blessed day. Bye, y'all.